Hey guys, my Aurelian soul is busted.
My Vel'Koz is Gucci.
You guessed it right.
I'm
CLG.
I'm CLG
Hooey.
Hooey.
Oh man. Welcome back everyone.
Uh,
This is episode 24?
Yeah,
Is that
it's
what we're on now?
24.
24
Yeah,
of the
24.
CLG Faithful podcast.
2 away
I'm-
from 1/2 year.
Yeah, it's been real fun.
It has been.
So as always, I'm your host Nefarious. Joining me this week is Archon. Say hello.
What's up, people?
And today we also have our usual guest on. Say hello, Yana.
Hey, how you doing, guys? I'm Professor Yana.
Alright, so they're here to give us a breakdown of all things COG this week, and it's been a pretty fulfilling week. There's a
You
ton
could
of
say that.
COGs.
There's a lot to fill in.
There's
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
lot of gaming that went down this past week.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a
think
lot, but not all
almost
of it's
everything.
good.
No.
Alright, let's just get right into it. We'll start
Let's
off with
do it.
some League of Legends, and we'll talk about the series against FlyQuest and Dignitas. We'll follow it up with some CSGO stuff, and we'll talk about how they played at DreamHack Valencia. Following that,
Mhm.
we'll go over the COG Academy, and then we'll go over some EVO,
All right.
and how our Smash
Yeah,
players
yeah.
did. Alright, so COG versus FlyQuest, Game 1. Hoo-hee.
Yeah.
Hooey.
Hoo-hee!
It is freaking hoo-hee. Holy crap. It was
And
basically a hoo-hee show.
Freaking P.
Right.
Yeah.
So this series, Hoo-hee busts out the Vel'Koz, adding yet one more to his champion Ocean.
Yep.
Hey guys, remember when everyone said 10 bans would be the end of Hoo-hee?
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Well, not quite.
Right. So this game was actually kind of interesting, Game 1, because COG was behind for a good amount of the game. In
Pretty
top
much all
lane,
of it, actually.
Darshan has a random death top lane, and he stays along around the turret too long and disrespects balls on his rumble, and
Yeah.
he just gets solo killed.
It was pretty rough to watch that, too, because you just like, Darshan, man, like, what are you doing?
What the fuck was that? Right, he's
Yeah.
at half health, and it's a rumble with ult.
Even silver players know to go B.
Yeah.
Well, let's not get too
why you
carried
would go
away.
back into that?
Hold on now. All right.
Okay, maybe gold.
Maybe, okay, yeah, that's true. Silver players are like, I have 1 health left, I can 100 to 0 that Fiora.
Oh,
Yeah. So
man.
then Hai actually manages to apply a lot of pressure, even though Hoo-hee does his best to contain him.
Yep.
FlyQuest gets a sneaky Baron, which
Yeah,
was
that
really
was
well played by
super
them.
sneaky.
And
Yep.
one factor of this is that they do have the Callista, which is shot up to number 1 in priority for a lot of teams.
Yeah.
So they get a sneaky
they-
Baron, and then COG defends for quite a bit.
And they aren't even
Well, I mean,
playing
they
on
have to at that
7.14 yet, are they?
I think
they're
they're still
still
on
on
713.
Yeah, so like there's no Callista buff in this patch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get the 714 changes in a bit.
God.
But oh man. But yeah, the sneaky Baron comes through. FlyQuest gets a really good Baron power play out of it, forces CLG to defend a little bit.
I mean, it was a pretty decent one. It got around 2 to 3k gold to shot a
I
couple
think
turrets.
I think it was like 2,500.
It was pretty
On the first
reasonable.
Baron, yeah.
It was pretty reasonable.
Yep.
And then there's a team fight around Elder, and Stick say, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Ah.
Like that's all I have. Stick say pulls his Wild Turtle impression, and then so it's CLG's blue side, and you guys all know of the wall that covers from what's the word I'm looking for? Near the pixel bush, there's the wall on the side closer to the red side turret.
Yep.
Right, that wall. Stick says like, "Hey, I can jump over this and kill." Oh God, no, I can't.
It's like
I can't do
I'm
anything.
Tristana, right? If I
And
rocket jump over the
I
wall,
can totally
I can rocket
go
jump
and
back.
fight the Kazakhs, who I am now isolated against. And he goes right into like the knock up from the Fates call, and then into the crescendo. And just,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah, the Fates call with the Sona is just kind of disgusting when it's pulled off, right?
Yep.
Right. So FlyQuest gets Baron, and then that's just or that Baron. They get Elder Drake, and then
Yep.
COG somehow they stall out for a bit, and then they manage to pick up some 2 team fights in a row to win the game.
Yeah, like whenever these team fights started, what was CLG was down 7,000 gold almost?
It was close to that, yeah.
Yeah, like the max gold differential in the game was I think 7,200, and they were close to 7K down when these team fights started.
Yep.
Right.
It was all about like who he's amazing ultimates though. Right in that Baron pit, it was just FlyQuest is like, oh yeah, let's take Baron. Oh okay, and then CLG shows up and just cleans the floor with them.
Yeah,
He did
Darshan and
really
Hui
well.
did a really
Yeah.
good job in that.
Yeah, Darshan in particular had some pretty nice ultimates as well on the the Narshan.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, so
Is
that
that
game.
what we're calling it now, Narshan?
That's what we've been calling it, man.
All right.
Yeah. So, we mentioned it before, the Narshan was played, and a lot of people have mentioned we might see Darshan's Yasuo, because Yasuo is seen as that counterpick to Nar. I think we'll all remember the CLG versus TSM series at Madison Square Garden.
Yep.
Oh man.
Now I just want to mention something really quick, because in the post game breakdown that Riot showed, Vel'Koz didn't have an icon.
Yeah.
That's sneaky, guys.
That's how good who he was. Who he was like, I have transcended the requirements of icons for my champions.
I think it's more like, oh shit, no one picks this champion. We don't have the icon ready for it.
He's a support. No one cares about that
Yeah,
Vel'Koz
right?
support.
God, he does so much damage.
So
Yep.
much.
I hate fighting Vel'Koz, man. You're like, oh, it's all good. It's just a Vel'Koz. He's not doing damage. Oh my god, the ult killed me.
Yeah, after
And
it's-
you're gone.
That's
the-
true
it's the
damage,
three,
man.
The 3 stacks from the Vel'Koz ult.
Into true damage.
Oh gosh.
So good.
Yep.
Right. So moving on into game 2. Oh my god, hype!
Right?
Yes.
Coming
oh
up
my
from
God,
the academy.
Yes, sir, he did.
Right. So Omar Gar is actually subbed in for Dardoch this game, and just to be clear, we've not heard anything negative about Dardoch in terms of personality. We've not heard any negative issues with the team, synergy, or any internal
Yep.
conflicts, or any of that stuff. It just seems
No.
like CLG wants to give Omar God some stage experience, and
There
yeah,
are definitely some matchups where it's nice to have that 6-person roster.
Yes.
A lot of social media buzzed whenever CLG announced Omar God was going to be a substitute, and they're like, oh my God, what's up with Dardoch? What is he doing wrong? And it's none of that. We just wanted to have a 6-person roster to flex picks.
Exactly.
Right,
And
and oh, go ahead.
it's
Yeah.
also one of those things where typically, especially this season, CLG's game 2 has been so poor that it's basically like, well, we're going to lose game 2 anyway, guys, so let's just give Omar God some stage presence and be like, hey, okay, look, this is what it's like to play on the LCS stage in front of an LCS crowd with 1 million people, well, not that many, but 200,000 people watching you play this game right now. This is what it feels like. Get used to it.
In reference
I'm
to
just
Omar
going to go
God.
5-0-13.
Yeah. So in reference to Omar God, he was also the number 1 pick for the NA scouting grounds that happened last year, if you all remember, and he was the most hyped player for the Challenger Series at that time.
Yeah, I think
And
he was
the one
at
that
the top.
people thought that if there's going to be an LCS caliber jungler, it's going to be him. He was the one that everyone wanted to replace Smithy when he was doing so poorly.
Yeah. They're like, why don't you bring Omar God up? Like, when Smithy is doing so poorly, it's like, you've got this amazing jungler on your academy team. Why not use him?
Right. So let's go into game 2.
Yeah.
Here's what I have for game 2. Support's so easy.
Mm-hmm.
Afremu hard carry. In fact, this whole game, just take it and upload it to Afremu's YouTube channel and just call it an Afro montage.
Afro montage.
That's all this game is.
Stixxay got fed so many kills this game. It was just
everyone did.
Hook City. Freaking City.
So this game, CLG is so far ahead of FlyQuest that Darshan, he buys a Rod of Ages second item, and he has a fully stacked Magi's at the end of the game on Galio,
Yep.
and he has a fully stacked Dark Seal.
And just think of this. Support is so easy that it is so easy that he literally supported his team and never dying. Afremu was the only person to die in this game, right? Yeah. So not only is he feeding the enemy team kills, he's feeding his own team kills.
even his deaths were playmaking. Like he gets someone out and he dies, but it doesn't matter because he's gone in and he's done all his initiation, everything else.
Exactly. The rest of his team follows in.
is dead. So
throws the hook,
CLG,
throws the play,
CLG does have they have the Galio plus Olaf God tier combo, but they don't really have to do anything with it.
No.
Not when you have Aframu.
No, so FlyQuest plays the bot lane pretty badly in the early game. The level 2 Braum gets caught by Aframu, and they did the hard leash, so they hit level 2 after the CLG bot lane. Braum gets caught, he dies, there's first blood. From there, Aframu just puts on a clinic. He roams everywhere. They apply a ton of pressure mid. Omar Guard is like, cool, easy game, boys. Easy life.
Yep.
Okay, let's just put it this way. So this whole game, until roughly the 23-minute mark, is pretty even. This game was 36 minutes long, and in that 13 minutes, CLG amasses an 18.3k gold lead.
Is that all?
Yeah. In 13 minutes. They make 2k gold per minute over what FlyQuest was making. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, so if there's any support players...
Yeah. Support's easy, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah.
If you want to watch a game on how to hard carry a support, this is how you do it.
This is the one to do it.
Yeah. I'll have to look into that.
Right. And so we're going to move on to the CLG Academy team.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other games played this week.
No other game was played this week, guys. CLG only had one match this weekend. Yeah.
Yep.
God, we got our ass handed to us.
I thought they had two. They didn't show up.
Yeah, it was an auto disqualification.
Yeah,
that would have been less embarrassing.
It would have been less embarrassing.
Dignitas handed our ass to us. It was bad.
In contrast to the FlyQuest series, where he was, Gucci, he was not Gucci. Like, this was probably his worst game of the split. This game one versus Dignitas.
I agree.
Got solo killed early on, didn't have a flash, didn't have mana to do Valkyrie, anything like that. It was
pretty bad.
It was a rough game for Hui.
And I just don't know why he would pick Corki. Like,
well, Corki's okay, right? He's
okay,
now
but
with a meta pick or whatever.
I guess they banned Vel'Koz.
Yeah.
And Aurelion Sol.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but what about the Varus pickup? That was just weird to me. When Tristana's up?
Yeah, Stixay had been doing reasonably well in Tristana.
Yeah.
Whenever they were playing against FlyQuest, and the Varus pickup kind of came off a little awkward, especially going against Altek's Callista.
I mean, I've never been a fan of Varus. Just personal thing, I just never liked the champion, whatever.
Sure.
But if you want the CC from his ult, I feel like Ashe is still better.
Yeah, the crowd control from her arrow probably is just better than Varus's.
It's a lot easier. I mean, they're both kind of like that pointing. Varus, they're both the skill shot, right?
Yeah.
But the Ashe arrow is instantaneous crowd control. Whereas Varus's ult takes time. So I would rather have that Ashe ult.
Did you know Chain of Corruption is actually the most missed skill shot in the game?
Oh, I wouldn't doubt. It's awful.
I mean, it doesn't matter when your bot lane just hard feeds.
Yeah.
It was bad.
What, 2, 6, and 7 that match as a bot lane?
Yeah.
It was bad. Just the entire series as a whole, and actually, even in the FlyQuest game, game 1, so 3 out of the 4 games this week, I don't think CLG looked very good at all. We looked bad.
Yeah, that we didn't need 3 games against FlyQuest was already a feat in itself, and we didn't deserve a 3rd game against Dignitas here.
No.
We just got outclassed, and
there was exactly one person on our team who was ahead. It
Darshan.
was Darshan's Gnar, and it was against Renekton.
Yeah, so it's already a melee into range matchup.
Yep.
Yeah.
And okay, great. So Darshan's ahead, but he's not massively ahead. No.
He's ahead enough, like he won lane in air quotes.
Right, but then your bot lane is feeding.
A very hungry alligator.
Your bot lane's feeding so hard that so Nidalee was the jungler for Dignitas early game, and she can just control the entire bot side jungle at that point.
Yep.
Right, so Darshan was ahead, whatever. Renekton falls behind. He turns into a meat shield that can go up and slice and dice and stun someone.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
That was that. Whatever. We lost game 1. Going into game 2, so CLG picked stronger lanes. They picked the Morgana into Thresh. So you've got the Black Shield and whatnot for the counter pick. They picked Tristana this time around instead of the Varus.
Good.
And they picked Nunu.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So
Dignitas picking Nunu into the Gragas.
right. So they pick Nunu. Nunu gets the Inferno Drake at around, 340? Something like that?
Yeah, somewhere around
before
there.
4
It's
minutes.
early.
I mean,
It's early.
Nunu can do that no matter what for any Drake. He can just take double point into the consume and then he can get the Drake.
Yep.
So he does that. They get an Inferno. Adrian goes off. We mentioned Aphromu
God,
putting on
Adrian.
a montage. Adrian was at one point the kill leader in this game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, early on, it was right before Syndra hit level 6. Adrian roamed up with Thresh into the mid lane and just threw a max range hook straight into Hui, and the team just collapsed on him at that point. I think it wasn't the whole team. A couple people came in on Hui at that point. Adrian got credit for the kill, and that was first blood, and it just went from there.
Yeah, Darshan manages to steal the Rift Herald with an auto attack from Gnar, but it doesn't matter because we never were able to convert it to any good use. We lost a bunch of people in our team fight. Dignitas gets super far ahead, and Nunu's just unkillable.
Yeah,
He's
like,
actually
when
unkillable.
you can take a Drake before 4 minutes, like, that spells trouble anyway.
But that's Nunu things.
Yeah, it's not even that Nunu did a whole lot that Nunu wasn't supposed to do. He doesn't even deal a bunch of damage. He's just, you can't kill him.
Right, and when you've got 2 losing lanes, again, Darshan's the only one ahead, but even then, it's just whatever, it's Renekton. When your lanes are losing, then Nunu just gets free reign over the opposing jungler. And Omargard, we know he was playing this game as well, and we know he's less experienced than someone like Dardoch.
Yeah.
So,
Especially coming from behind.
not sure why Omargard was subbed in this series, but
Probably just for the experience, to be honest.
maybe. But we're down a game.
Yeah, it's
Sure.
one of those things where you want to kind of keep your main roster playing.
But Dardoch has not been playing particularly well.
He's had a couple rough weeks.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, like I said, our bot lane's not been doing very well. Personally, in lane, I look at
Like,
them
we
and
just-
they're down in
we've been
CS. Yeah,
Like, we need to work on cleaning up our early game.
and you know what?
Because
Darshan's
not
been
gonna have
playing
any-
super well. Credit to him, for the most
Sure.
part. Huhi, this was one bad week.
but otherwise he's been very solid. It's just the team cohesion needs to step up a bit. We're getting close to playoffs. And this kind of performance against, like, Dignitas and FlyQuest, like, one series we won 2-0. We probably should have won it 2-1 if we win the series. And then we just got stomped.
Yeah.
So
But
it's a
guys-
little concerning.
But guess what? We got Gragas.
Gragas!
Yeah, I don't know. The Gragas priority is kind of interesting now that the jungle meta shifted.
Yeah.
You know, Kalista shot up in priority for most teams.
It's going to shoot up even more here soon.
Yeah, well, this next patch is gonna be. You're gonna see
boy.
some interesting shit, man.
Oh, boy.
You want to see an Ezreal building Duskblade with Sheen?
I want to see Rammus.
Maybe with
I want to
static
see a
shift,
Rammus
like,
jungle.
Yep.
This next patch is so dumb.
I want to see Rammus jungle. The
So
only
for-
time Rammus has ever been shown in LCS is as a support mispick, and I want to see it jungle. It's like,
so-
damn it! It's like, come look at my scrubby silver gold matches. Look how good Rammus is.
So for those who don't know, this next patch is just a big clusterfuck. Lethality, Riot's like, you know what? Let's buff
bring that back.
Lethality. In fact, let's buff it and go overboard.
Yep.
So I
And
hope you guys enjoyed your Jhin Varus bot lane. I hope you enjoyed your assassins actually one-shotting people. I hope you love Jace. Duskblade,
I
not
don't.
Duskblade, like Yomu's and whatnot, Jace with lethality. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's gonna
And
be interesting.
something that gets me about this patch is, like, you're listening to all the casters and all, like, the, the higher ups in, like, the shoutcasting community for Riot. And like, oh yeah, 7-14's a great patch. It's gonna bring so many great things. No, it's chaos.
It's so
It's going to
bad.
be a fiesta, folks.
And
Yes.
the worst part is I don't think anyone enjoys this patch. You can actually go... Okay, I guarantee this week at LCS, you're gonna see some random shit. You're gonna see champions just get randomly one shot.
Yep.
You're gonna see some weird builds. It's just gonna be chaos, man. This whole thing's gonna be chaos.
I main ADC, and I am dreading 7-14.
I made the mistake of playing a ranked game yesterday.
Sorry.
Don't.
Not worth it.
Yep, so I think the only thing left to say about the CLG guys, I don't have them in first place anymore.
No.
Like,
So right now,
just performance based.
Right now, in terms of standings, they're tied with Immortals and TSM for first place. I'd argue that based on our performance, purely on our performance, not predicting anything for the future, I'd say TSM is the number one team right now.
I think they're solidly first, especially
I
after
think
their
arguably
performance
Immortals.
of rivals.
I think arguably Immortals played better this week.
Sure.
They are improving, that's for sure.
And
it looked a little bad for them the last few weeks.
CLG is third.
I would put them above Immortals right now, with the notion that could change literally at any second.
Yeah.
Like,
think
I'm just going
another week
off
before I
this
put them
week's
third.
performance. I don't know. Like
Sure.
Immortals beat mid-tier teams, but CLG lost to mid-tier teams. And
Oh, if we're looking in a vacuum this week, they're absolutely third place.
that's what I'm looking at in a vacuum of this
Yeah,
place and
sure.
previous, from the beginning of this split till now.
And if you look at some of the teams that you expect to perform, like your Cloud9s particularly, like if it weren't for them
Jensen
having,
A contracts 2v9
I'll-
or 2v8.
I'll just say an off split for C9, like this is really unusual. Like,
You know
it's a
what?
good time for CLG to mess up, but it's also like, come on, it's playoffs.
I think
coming up.
coming up, so next week we play Echo Fox on Saturday.
Yep.
And then Immortals plays FlyQuest. Arguably, both teams should win. We'll be tied.
Arguably.
Well,
Arguably.
keep in mind
TSM
that,
is playing TSM's playing Dignitas. Now hear me out. On Sunday, it could potentially be the tiebreaker for CLG and Immortals. It's CLG versus Immortals. TSM's playing Echo Fox. So they're probably going to stomp Echo Fox, and TSM's probably going to stomp Dignitas. And so it's going to come down to CLG and Immortals. Who's going to be tied with TSM for first place?
Well, following that, we have CLG versus TSM, the final week, the last game.
Final week.
But I want to say that next week, keep in mind, Echo Fox will probably benefit from this whole lethality bullshit patch.
Yeah.
Agree.
With the kidding, and knowing how Riot buffs and nerfs shit stuff, this is probably going to go on for 2 weeks. Maybe 3.
Well, at least it could last 3. Like it's about a 3-week turnaround basically.
We'll
for
see what happens
LCS
for
patches.
playoffs.
Yeah.
I can only imagine that
The
Riot's
only
going to
good thing-
release
The only good
some.
thing is that Huhi's pretty damn good on Assassins, so
Yeah.
Sure.
love to see some Huhi Zed again.
Oh, that'd be nice. But at
Right.
the same time, I really don't want to see like a High or Bjergsen Zed.
Fair.
So moving
Yeah.
off onto CLG Academy, just want to give an
Yeah.
update on that. This is 0-4 week, unfortunately, against Big God Jackals first, and then against Tempo Storm.
I love that name.
With
Big
those
God
losses, CLG Academy is actually out of contention for playoffs.
Jackals.
That's a shame.
I mean, if we're being realistic here,
Looking at them, how
we
they
really
played this
weren't
split.
going to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
It
think-
was nice to see that they have some talent that they brought up to the LCS,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
but we kind of saw the writing on the wall early on that they weren't going to, I guess, do as well as we had hoped.
Right, when your only wins are against the Meme Dream Team.
Yeah.
Don't
Meme
get me
Stream
started
Dream
on that
Team. Ugh.
Right. Well, hopefully they will come back next split and will be much better.
Well, there's not going to be one next split.
Right, but there will be the B tier thing, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Sure.
That's true.
The
Well,
the minor leagues or whatever people are going to call it.
whatever they're going to call it. Yeah, that's true.
Right. So let's move on to CS:GO.
Yeah, the CLG.Blue boys got to play this weekend at DreamHack Valencia.
All right.
Yeah, so we started off. There's multiple days for this, but we're going to start on day 1, which
Yep,
was July
Yeah.
11th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So CLG needs to win they need to either win twice in a row to move on, or they need to win once in their group and then play a decider match against whoever was also the loser. So we're going to move on, and we're going to play again into Game 1 versus NRG on Overpass. Why don't you run us down that?
Sure. So Game 1 versus Energy is a pistol round. Cutler hanging around the back of Site A, down to the bank, and actually cleans up with a really nice 3K as Energy was trying to retake A. And that kind of set things in motion for CLG to take round 1. And you fast forward a little bit, CLG took some very fast games. We're up 8-2 at one point after having just lost round 10. And FNS, really, really good 4K, denying Energy a retake of A site again, putting them up 9-2. Going into halftime, it's 11-4 in favor of CLG.
Oh, yeah. And
then after halftime, you have a lot of back and forth happening for like the next, 7 rounds or so, round 22 or something. And then Cutler right back at it, another really good 4K. FNS closes out the round to make it 14-8. And then Energy win 3 more rounds in a row after that. So get a little bit of the nerves going on, starting to think of a comeback, but CLG is able to end up taking Overpass 16-11.
Yeah, so that's Game 1. So that's 1 win. We need 1 more. But we end up going up against Ninjas in Pajamas. So good old NIP. These guys are probably one of the top European teams.
It's a tough team.
They're really good.
Very historical, just like Fnatic or SK. And yeah, it wasn't a very good start. No.
It felt like the opposite of the NRG matchup. We lost a lot instead of winning a lot. We're down, 12-3 at halftime to NIP. Ethan trying to get a little cheeky, a little bit, little out there for a 3K that helped CLG win round 15. Nothing else really went well for CLG in the second half. NIP pretty easily took game 2, 16-10.
Yeah. So that means CLG ended up going 1-1. That means that CLG needs to beat the team called Red Reserve. They're actually a Swedish team on day 2 in a best of 3 decider to move on in the tournament. So we're going to move on to day 2 then, and that is where we played against Red Reserve. So game 1 was on Cobblestone.
Yep, so a bit of a difference from day 1 where they were on Overpass both matches. Had a tough start on Cobblestone, actually. I don't know if it was just a jitters or just not being used to having played that in a while, but there's a point similar to the NIP match. We were down 11-4 at half. Kusta coming in that clutch, though, on round 18. Gets, a classic 4K with a MAC-10. Put CLG up at 11. Putting them rather at 7-11. They're still down 4 games. A lot of back and forth ensues, but in the end, I think Red Reserve took Cobblestone 16-10.
Yeah, they take match 1 and then, game 1, and then game 2 against Red Reserve is on Cash. So this was a really close match. There's a lot of small little streaks here and there from both teams. They both try to act out and get that
Red
victory.
Reserve wins a bit. CLG wins a bit.
Yeah, so CLG actually takes the pistol round, but then they lose in a surprise double AK buy from Red Reserve right after that. And it puts them down.
CLG behind a little bit. They certainly weren't expecting to double AK.
No, they were not. They were down 6-9 at half. Then,
which is it's better than 11-4 or 12-3.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
But then CLG shows some strength in the second half, don't they?
Yeah, Cash was a little more T-sided. CLG showed that in the second half, made a comeback, and still a little bit of back and forth, but CLG had some streaks in the second half of the match, ended up taking game 2 16-14, and they forced a game 3 in the BO3.
Yeah. Game 3, though, Red Reserve on Mirage. I think we've all seen this clip on Twitch.
Yep.
Nope. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
I was watching Discord when this was happening, and I just saw something from, I think it was Artrend, just pop up, and it was just like, what the fuck was that?
So just so you guys know, it was a pretty close match in this one. It was really back and forth. But CLG was up 15-12. The bomb was ticking. CLG completes the retake on Mirage and kills all of Red Reserve. Everyone was celebrating. They go in. I believe it was Kusta is defusing the bomb. the Red Reserve players have already disconnected and unplugged their mice from the keyboard or from the back of the computers. And then the look on FNS's face when he realized that they didn't have enough time to defuse the bomb, and that if Ricky had walked over to defuse the bomb instead of get up to celebrate, and you know what? You can't blame this on any of the team members. As their coach, Mike should have been there and be like, no. You don't have time with him to defuse the bomb. Get him on there defusing it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time to defuse the bomb, and it exploded. And Red Reserve, with the most confused looks on their faces, the NA choke was complete.
Yep.
CLG loses in overtime, 24-28.
Yep, they had the chance to win it 16-12.
Of all the ways to go out, too.
It's just
this
awful,
is heartbreaking.
Man. It's heartbreaking.
To know that you basically have a match in the bag, and then
and you would move on.
You lost focus.
You would move on to the next round.
It was that one bit of focus loss, and it kind of.
Well, it's a bit of focus loss, and it's a bit of just assumptions. Like,
and then
Red Reserves are like, we're beat.
Yeah, Red Reserve, the casters, even the production crew, like they were playing the CLG, the win music, music, and they had its CLG win up on the game, and then it stopped. And when they saw FNS's face, they had panned out to do the player cam, like all the players on there celebrating and hugging, and then FNS's face, and they were like, "Oh my gosh!" The music cuts, and FNS is just like, "Oh my god." Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yep.
Yeah. Feels bad, man.
Feels really bad.
Yeah. We'll put a link to that clip. No,
let's not.
No, let's not do that. I'm sorry.
God.
So that means CLG's out of DreamHack Valencia on day 2. Kind of sucks.
They could have made the next round. So
yeah. First that happened, and then the Dig series happened.
Yeah.
So let's give the guy some credit here, though. Yes, this happened.
They played good.
FNS's faces was the sight of the entire match. That's what everyone's going to remember.
Yep.
But to realize that you had that opportunity to make the next round, and you essentially did, and then kind of choke like that with that loss of focus, or just like not realizing, it's bittersweet, I think is the best way to put that series.
Yeah. They won that series, but they didn't win.
But they didn't.
Yes.
Up until you lose the game, you're winning.
You're winning, exactly. All right, so why don't we move on to CLG Academy CSGO, where they were actually in a close
I do have a
qualifier.
question before you start on that. So apparently at DreamHack, the rules are a little different in that you can have a strategic coach in the booth with them.
Yes.
At DreamHack.
Yes, because it's not a Valve-sponsored event. Valve-sponsored events you're not allowed to have a coach anymore. That was something that Valve started. So any of the
you're not
Valve
allowed?
events, you're not allowed to have the coach there.
During the game.
Okay,
it's kind of like League of Legends where the coach leaves.
Okay.
Yeah, so before, during like the pick and ban phase of the maps, the coach is allowed to be there and kind of like coach in between matches. However, during a match, the coach is not allowed to be there because Valve thinks that it needs to be more like everyone else playing the game where you don't have that sixth man.
Okay, so whereas in DreamHack, the coach is allowed to be in the booth and they can be this highlight figure and then basically playing StarCraft and controlling all of their teammates.
Yeah, so essentially it's the coach is able to see what's happening on all 5 guys' screens. Like he's walking back and forth watching their screens. So it's not like he's getting like a third person view of anything. He's only seeing what the players are seeing, but he's got a headset on and able to talk to all 5 of the guys and be like, Ricky, dude, to your left. You know, kind of like make call outs for him and stuff like that.
It's essentially a sixth man.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a sixth man that's not playing. Yeah.
Yep.
And I like it because, as we said, it's a strategic coach. It allows for a little bit more lenience on kind of different plays because you have that guy behind you watching for you and being like, no, a little over there, you know, make sure your aims are proper, you know, make sure you check that corner.
Watch your 6, all of that.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. So let's move on to CLG Academy, who were playing because they won the closed qualifiers last week. That means that they the open qualifiers for DreamHack Malmo. They got into the closed qualifiers for a chance to get to DreamHack Malmo. So the CLG Academy boys, they played best of threes to get a chance to get into Malmo. And first up was against Team Mythic. The game 1 was on Overpass, and CLG Academy dominated them 16-6. Nice. Game 2 was on Mirage, and it was much closer match. Mythic besting us 11-16. Undeterred though, CLG Academy came back firing on Train, taking the game 16-14. So that means we are up 1-0, and now we're up against X-Pain Gaming.
Yep. And so X-Pain game 1 again on Overpass, and much like how they did against Mythic, CLG won, although it was a little closer, 16-14 over X-Pain in game 1. Game 2, back to the Train, and X-Pain,
sorry.
It's okay. X-Pain brought the pain. They showed CLG what was up. They took the map 16-9, forcing a game 3. Game 3 was on Cash. It was a very close game. At the end of regulation, it was a 15-15 draw, and went to overtime. And X-Pain showed their late game prowess. They took game 3, 19-15, and along with game 3, they took the guaranteed invite to Malmo.
Yes, X-Pain actually finished 3rd, 4th, so they lost their next match. But the top 4 teams did get invited to DreamHack Malmo.
Yep. So even with the loss, X-Pain is on their way to DreamHack.
Exactly. So it sucks, they don't. The CLG Academy boys don't get to go to DreamHack Malmo. But you know what? They played their hearts out, and X-Pain, as they said, they're paying gaming. They're actually a pretty big CS:GO org right now, and
they're Brazilian org, aren't they?
I believe so. Yeah.
And I believe Pain Gaming in League is also Brazilian as well.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So CLG Academy also played a match on the ESEA Premier Season 25 NA against Team Enter. They played on Train, and much like their match against X-Pain, they got trampled.
Much like this entire week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of them got more than 13 frags, which is pretty bad. It was a rather brutal showing by Team Enter, and they took it.
Brutal.
Yeah, 5-16 for Team Enter. Brutal. But you know what? Evo happened this week, boys.
It did.
And let's talk about some freaking
news.
Evo. Because Smash Bros, we have some pretty damn good boys in Smash Bros.
Yep. So let's just take the last 30 some odd minutes, take all the sadness, we're gonna ball it up, we're gonna throw it in the trash can.
And we're gonna think about Evo.
We have some good news. We have Evo now.
Well, we've also got bad news too. But...
I mean, we have a little bit, but I think it's better overall.
Yeah.
It's more positive. That's for sure.
Yeah. More positive news.
So who wants to start us off and talk about Melee?
All right, why don't you take that off, Prof?
All right, I can do that. So Pew Pew U, starting off as Evo against Munchies. Just a note, there are a lot of on-stream matches here at Evo, and a lot of these we don't get a lot of info besides literally who won or lost. It's battle of 3 until top 4, so a lot of these are just going to be results. But for Pew Pew U, started off as brackets against Munchies.
I love the names already.
Yep.
Yeah, the Smash names are great.
I say it every week, and I'm going to keep doing it.
I love listening to his attempted pronunciations of some of the names, too. They're fantastic.
Oh my goodness.
I want some of them, but want some of them. I just can never pronounce it.
So now I see why you're having me do this.
Let's go.
So Pew Pew beats Munchies, then goes against Thorn, who he also beats 2-0. Pew Pew goes on to beat F12, Peligro, and Cactuar.
Yes.
And in his final pulls, he managed to get a 2-1 victory over Shroomed.
Yeah.
So he gets to move on to the winner's bracket, facing off against Mewtwo King. Mewtwo King crushed Pew Pew 2-0.
It's a little unfortunate to go up against M2K.
Yeah. Yeah, so Pew Pew
especially
gets knocked
right
into
out
the
of the
loser's
winner's bracket.
Yeah, first round of the winners getting knocked out, then to the loser's bracket. Gotta go through the slow lane, as it were. Was able to take out Rishi, though, 2-0. knocked out West Balls out of the tourney. So good job Pew Pew doing that. That was a 2-1 win. And met SFAT in the losers top 12. It was a really good match to watch. Both played their hearts out. SFAT ended up taking the match in 3 games. Unfortunate that they had to play at that point, but Pew Pew getting a top 12 finish, finishing 9th overall in Melee, so good work, Pew Pew U. And then there's SFAT. We just mentioned SFAT.
We just did.
Yeah, it's a little bittersweet to have one CLG boy knock out the other CLG boy, though.
Yeah, it kind of is.
One of them had to go in the losers bracket, but ninth place showing, not bad.
Nope.
Going to
top
SFAT,
top 8 is considered the best. You know, making it in the 9th place, you're like just outside of there, especially at a tournament like EVO, where all the gods showed up.
You've got some of the best in the world.
Yeah.
This is the biggest fighting tournament in the world.
Yeah.
And you got 9th. Definitely hold your head up high. Congratulations to SFAT for moving on. Couple highlights for SFAT in this tournament. In his pools, he just dominated. Straight up crushed. Beating XLVR, Burly Bones, Krager, Sword Saint, Chillin' Dude, and Fiction, all cleanly. And then right out of pools, he faces off against Chudat. Chudat, as you all probably know, is an Ice Climber main.
Dirty Ice Climber main.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dirty Ice Climber main.
Very dirty. But SFAT managed to win 2-1. So he gets to stay in the winner's bracket, played against Hungry Box next. Did end up losing that match with a little bit of controversy. Hungry Box, and I didn't watch this, but apparently there was a coach called up to the stage before match 3, which is against EVO's rules. Hungry Box was given what's called a yellow card, just like soccer. It's a warning, and the match resumed, but still a lot of controversy there in Game 3.
I will mention that the EVO rules state that would be a disqualification. However, it could not be proved that Hungry Box called up the coach to the stage.
The coach just came up.
The coach just came up. There was so they gave him a warning to not have that happen again. Yep. So that was a bit of a controversy, and it was right before the 3rd match. So it was kind of a big deal because it was who goes into winners.
It's a little shady. Yeah.
In the end, it's a chalk. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? You got to follow the rules.
Exactly. You go to these kinds of tournaments, you're supposed to know what you're doing in the rules.
Exactly.
So whether it was intentional or not, we went on. He only got a yellow card, wasn't disqualified. Ended up losing that 3rd match. So we go down to the losers bracket, where, as we just mentioned, SFAT played against Pew Pew U, and SFAT ended up taking that match 2-1. I'm knocking Pew Pew down to 9th place. SFAT makes top 8, having to face off against Lucky in a Fox duel. And Lucky ended up being a better Fox player. Knocked SFAT out of the tournament 1-2. And SFAT top 8 finish, 7th place.
Yeah, so it's good showing by him.
Yeah, good showing by both of them.
I just think that this is a tournament that's got all your top tier Smash players. So you've got Armada, you've got Hungry Box, and Leffen, and M2K, and Mango. You've got SFAT, Axe, Chudet.
Yeah, it was pretty intense.
West Balls. You've got your top tier players.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's move on then to Melee doubles. So PewFat is playing a Melee doubles. Now, doubles is not officially at EVO. There was actually, this event is called Fuse, and it was hosted by 2GG, who hosts a ton of different tournaments.
Yeah.
And they hosted it alongside EVO, calling it Fuse. And it was Melee doubles, and PewFat was definitely there. Now, I want to mention that this happened in basically a really, like a really nice hotel room. Is how they did this. There was maybe 20 people in the room, and they were all players. It was very, it's actually a big event because it's happening during EVO. However, it was just it just shows the Smash Bros community and how chill and awesome they are.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 16 players in that whole thing.
Yeah, so there's only
part of it is the schedule, but There's
Yeah.
no room for anyone else in that
No.
room.
Like, it literally feels like to me, and I'm kind of on the outside looking in here. Hey, you guys want to do a tournament? I got a hotel room. Let's stream.
Yeah, I got a nice one. It's got a great view. Let's do it.
Fuck it, why not?
The casters
Yeah,
were
right?
literally just on a coach right next to the guys playing.
It felt like SGDQ a little bit.
It
but
really
for
did.
Smash.
It was so fantastic. Anyways,
Ugh.
guys, so PewFat ended up first playing against Drugfox and MacD, who they crushed 3-0. Then they
Drugfox.
faced off against Plup and Axe, who again are a really tough match, but they did end up beating them 3-1.
Yep.
Then came the big boys for the winners finals, Armada and Android. Oh boy, this was a good match. It was really close and intense, but PewFat won the match 3-2.
But we're not
And
done
then-
yet.
Yeah,
Yep, they're on to the grand final.
yeah,
and,
grand
guess
finals.
who's back?
Armada and Android, man. So Armada and the Armdroid won match 1, but the boys won match 2. Then they were down 2-1. The boys crushed Armada and Android with 3 stocks left. Really great showing to go into the final match, tied up 2-2, best of 5. Final
On
round
FD.
on Final Destination, just a little fitting.
No, items,
So-
Fox only.
Okay, so Android actually loses his first stock really early on with an amazing juggle into an edge guard. Then, right afterwards, they take another stock from Android and Armada stock at the same time. Fantastic. Armdroid then take a stock off Pew Pew U, but Pew Pew U fights right back and down smashes Android off the edge. The casters went crazy because you usually
Straight up
don't
meteor
see,
smash.
Yeah, you don't see very many down smashes, especially in doubles, just because of how risky they can be. If you
Yep.
do that down smash, if you go off the edge, or
You're dead.
you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Armdroid then take a stock off SFAT and with an up smash. Directly after though, PewFat do an amazing juggle into the edge guard again for another Armada stock. Really good back and forth. But then Armada takes a stock from SFAT, bringing us to a 5-3 stock lead for PewFat. Armada then saves Android super hard, but it doesn't matter because PewFat crushes Android and knocks him out, while at the same time down airing Armada off the stage, meaning that they only have 1 stock left, and that stock is for Armada, and it's currently 5 stocks for PewFat to the 1 stock of Armada, 2-on-1. The look of desperation was high on his face. He was intense, and Android was just like, he's devastated. With some awesome juggles though, Pew Pew U gets an amazing edge guard into the up smash and insta kills Armada. PewFat wins the Fuse Grand Finals.
Yep.
That's got a kick-ass
Feels
trophy
good.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah, right?
It was pretty sweet.
That was really cool.
Yeah,
I mean, the Evo trophies in general were kind of but
yeah, they
The
were just
Fuse
like little
trophies are
glass
sweet.
thing. But Fuse was pretty sweet. Because, I mean, it's like they only have like 16 players. So they're going to give like, maybe they're only going to have 1 trophy, really. And it just, you know what? It's all like people who are playing the game. And it's not like a big Evo organization where they have, 5 different games playing over an entire weekend that they're going to need medals and trophies
yeah. So
for.
they had crazy stuff. They had Smash. They had Tekken. They had
Tekken,
Street Fighter. I think. Crap. What were the other 2
There's like
games?
Blaz. Was it BlazBlue?
MVC3.
BlazBlue.
Oh, yeah.
BlazBlue and MVC3. Thank you.
Yeah. They had some big games in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, but if you guys want to watch any Smash event, I suggest just go and at the very least watch the PewFat finals.
Watch the Fuse finals. It was really good. Like,
it'll
I
make
went
you
back
feel-
and watched after this.
Yeah, it'll make you feel really good.
And we could use some of that.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
But you know what? Let's talk about Wii U. So Smash 4. Because we also had some
Void.
good showing here.
Right, so
Void our boys.
Void had some really good pools. So he went up against VCat, Django Feet, and some guy's name I don't know how to pronounce.
Tony Pena.
Tony Pena. Okay,
Pena.
That's not too bad.
Tony Pena.
Tony Pena and LJ. And then, unfortunately, he loses 0-2 against Conga. but then he goes on to beat Meteor and Rich Brown. So this means he starts off in the losers bracket, and what do we know Void for? He's known for making amazing runs. So what does he do? He smashes Cosmos 2-1. He goes up against Edge, crushes him 2-0, and then Wrath 2-0. From there, he goes into the top 16, in which he faces up against Komo Rikiri, and he destroys him 2-1. From there, he goes up against False, and False, he's just a false god. Goes up against him.
Ooh, the burns.
Void beats him 2-0, and then he faces up against Nero, and this was a tough match. Void is able to take one game from him, but then ultimately loses the series 1-2, and this means Void finishes in 7th place. So this is a good showing by Void.
Yeah, Void having to start from a loser's bracket and running all the way into the top 8 at a huge event like that,
it's
awesome
tough.
showing from him.
Yeah.
And once again, we mentioned top 8 at EVO is a pretty damn big deal.
Yep. Okay, now, if you guys want to watch a crazy matchup, I highly recommend going through and watching the grand finals for Wii U. It was insane.
It was really good.
Absolutely insane. But let's move on to Nakat.
Yeah, so Nakat starts off and he goes to full beast mode.
Oh,
He
yeah.
handily beats everyone in his pools, taking down Aeoluxor, Gaia, This Squared, Nick Riddle, Locust, and Abangango.
Abadango.
Abadango.
You know I can't pronounce names.
That's why I love letting him pronounce them.
Wow.
I like watching them, man. I just can't pronounce this.
I know who every one of these guys is, but I can't say who they are.
Pretty much.
All right, so Nakat, with the polls performance, gets to start off in the winner's bracket.
Right, and he goes up against Salem.
Right off the bat, and Salem beat him 2-0. So knocked into losers rather quickly, but had to face up against Captain Zach. Knocked him out 2-1. And then he had to go up against Lima. Lima was able to 0-2 Nakat, putting Nakat out of the tournament at 13th. So not a bad showing at all. He's showing up in better form. And overall, good performance for him on the Wii U side.
Yeah, I like how you take over as soon as I'm done with all the hard names.
I mean, that's what I do.
I
have to mop up, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nefarious butchers the names, and then the rest of us
I mean,
clean
that's
up.
that's just a regular feature at this point.
I mean, we have to carry you at some point.
Yeah.
And so that's about it for Evo, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that is all the Evo.
Yeah, so overall, great
yeah.
showing for the CLG guys.
Absolutely.
And congrats on the good finishes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was either Void or Nakat, I forget which one it was, and they were talking about just the general experiences over the past year or so.
Yeah.
That was Nakat.
That was Nakat, thank you.
Yeah.
So he was just basically talking about he called it his Reformation and Evo. And he's talking about his past 2 years in Smash and his general career, how he was feeling. He felt like he hit a wall and how that ate at his confidence. And he fell into what he called a Smash depression, which he just felt like he was getting worse and worse. He talks a little bit about it, and I'm not going to go too much into it. We'll link it, and you can definitely read it and get a much better idea of his experiences. But he looks to be on a much better showing. He seems to have improved from a mental health perspective. Yep. And it also attributes the great staff at CLG for taking care of our boy.
Yeah.
And just a great showing from Nakat, again, on the upswing. Good to see him back in good form. 13th place. Great job.
Especially at Evo.
And to be clear, he's not happy with 13th place.
No, he wasn't. He was like, okay, yeah, I showed up. It's 13th place. That's okay, but it's not top 8.
It's a good performance, but it's not a great performance.
Exactly. He wants top 8.
Yep.
And that's good. That means he's got that drive, the competitive drive in Smash. That'll do it.
Yeah, so I think the only other game that we have is Overwatch, and not much happened on a team layout for Overwatch this week. The only thing that really went on was the World Cup. US didn't play any matches so far, and as far as I know, none of the CLG guys are representing the US in the Overwatch tournament. So
I think it's actually US and Canada as one team.
Probably.
Sure.
It's
North
North
America.
America. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit of other news for Overwatch is that Blizzard has announced, I believe it's the first 7 teams that have bought into franchising for Overwatch, and CLG was not one of them, but that's kind of to be expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a little concerned about whether they can get into the league franchising.
Yeah. But hey, Snoop Dogg.
Oh man, we were talking about this before the recording started, and
just go ahead and tell us.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, shenanigans. So, Hotshot GG posted on Twitter a picture of him with Snoop Dogg, both doing the C, kind of like, finger sign, hand sign. And anyways, so the first rumors,
CLG.
yeah, the first rumors kind of were, in the Reddit comments was basically like, oh my gosh, is Snoop Dogg buying into CLG? Is this how we're going to buy an LCS spot? And, it's pretty clearly, someone then kind of shot it all down that Hotshot was just at a charity poker event and Snoop Dogg was there too.
Sure.
And they took a picture together. That's going to be their cover story, but we all know that it's like, who would say no if Snoop Dogg...
Highest response is, can you outsmoke him? Hotshot replies, it's not possible.
Yeah, right?
One person mentions, is this the new team wellness coach?
Oh my god. Blazing through the LCS since 2018.
Oh, man.
Oh, good stuff. So who knows? You know what? It's probably not going to be Snoop Dogg, throwing some income
I'd be surprised if it were.
Yeah. But you know what? It's just good to know that Hotshot's, hanging out with a good crowd of people. Because Snoop Dogg, you know what? Everyone's like, oh, look at this stoner, guy. But he's got a good business head on him. And he knows what he's doing. And he's chill. He'll give anyone advice that's looking for it because he knows what he's doing.
Yep.
So another thing that happened is, so there's a K-pop band called CLC, and they released a new mini album, and the album name is Free SM.
Nice.
So
I like that.
I'll have to check that out.
On the K-pop subreddit that someone linked to, and it's also on the CLG subreddit, so I found out about it. The memes are already writing themselves, and the entire thing is just taken over with Free SM posts.
I love it. I know
what I'm checking out after the podcast.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Give me some K-pop.
Right?
All
right,
got
guys. Contacts?
Yeah, I think that about wraps things up for this week, though.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so that's all we've got for you guys. CLG Faithful Podcast is a weekly podcast that goes over all things CLG each and every week, no matter how much or how little. So if you enjoy what we do, please just take a few minutes to follow us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, give us a rating on iTunes or Google Play. We really appreciate it. And we love getting some feedback, so send your thoughts over to us at clgfaithful@gmail.com, and we promise to respond. And in general, we're just CLG Faithful on everything, YouTube, Twitter, all that.
I get my grape CLG jersey tomorrow in the mail.
Ooh,
oh, nice.
Very nice. I have my CLG fighting mouse pad that cost me $40 goddamn Canadian.
But
it's on the way.
The dad hat, guys.
It's okay, but because you know what? It'll finally be able to replace this dirty Fnatic mouse pad that I have. Ugh, I know, right? It's like, gee, CLG, I've only been waiting years and years and years for a mouse pad.
Right?
Come on, finally. It only cost me $40 friggin' dollars.
Yep.
All right, guys.
I unfortunately don't have anything new. I got my Darshan jersey at the beginning of the season, though. So
nice.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Professor Yana, where can people find you if they want to hear more about you?
Sure. So I stream a lot on Twitch. I play a lot of not fighting games. Play a lot of shooters. Play a lot of trading card games. You can find me on Twitch if you like streaming at twitch.tv/Professor Yana, all one word. If you do the Twitter, my Twitter is profyana_Twitch. Feel free to check that out. And it was great being here again. Looking forward to it again.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, and Archon, what about you? Where can people find you?
Yeah, if you want to find me on Twitter, you can find me at Archon1680, and you can also find me on twitch.tv streaming video games and cooking as well at Archon1680 as well.
Yeah, and I'm Nefarious, and if anyone cares to follow me on Twitter, I am NEFARI0USS. So yeah, thanks for everyone for listening. Thanks, Professor Yana, for stepping in this week and helping us out.
Anytime. Looking forward to it.
Peace out, guys.
All right. Have a good week, everyone.
Yeah, and that, the CLG Faithful Podcast. Thanks for listening.